It was the day of my first PT session at the gym I had just joined. As I looked over at the weight area through the glass, I saw a man who instantly caught my eye. He's huge. The words, "he's really huge," came out of me naturally. Muscular build was a given. He was tall with sharp facial features, and that man was the husband my friend once told me about, saying, "I think I'm actually going to die. He's too big, I can't handle it." That was the husband she was even considering divorce over. Just how big could he be to make someone say they felt like they were going to die? At the time, it was mere curiosity, but I never imagined the curiosity would shake my entire life to its core. Why did I, who lived an ordinary life, end up in a situation like this? And how did this encounter make me cross the line between love and ruin? I will now begin the shocking and heartbreaking story of a woman who had to stake everything on love. Before we start, please subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. It's all free. Your support is a great source of strength to me. My name is Kim Sun-young. I am 51 years old this year. I work as an instructor at a Pilates center in Useonggu, Daejeon. From the outside, I probably look like a bright and healthy woman, always in leggings, keeping my back straight, smiling at members and saying, "Breathe. Engage your core." I repeat the same things over and over. But behind that smile, my heart is crumbling every single day. In my 25th year of marriage, my life was just continuing out of obligation. My husband, Park Jun-ho, used to be a strong and diligent person. After we married, we ran a small restaurant together and worked really hard. But after COVID, the business failed, debts piled up, and everything changed. My husband started relying on alcohol more and more, returning home every dawn reeking of soju. His words grew fewer and his laughter disappeared. Every day was just a repetition. In the mornings, I'd head to the center to instruct members, and in the evenings, I'd stop by the hospital to pick up his medication or take care of him, exhausted from drink. When I returned home, only a quiet living room, a cold floor, and the sound of the TV would greet me. Even when my husband lay beside me, his heart was already far away. "Sun-young, it's really hard for me now." When he muttered that, I couldn't tell if it was an expression of his weariness with life or his boredom with me. Sometimes I stand in front of the mirror and look at my body. Having exercised my whole life, it's firmer than most people my age. But there was no life in it. Even if my face was smiling, my eyes were always hollow, and my heart was empty. My husband no longer saw me as a woman. That was the fact that was hardest to endure. A woman can live without someone's love, but I think she loses herself the moment she no longer feels like a woman. When I came home alone after work, I would always fiddle with my phone. I wanted to reach out to someone, but I had no one to call. Most of my friends were busy raising kids, and some even moved from the city to Jeju Island. "Sun-young, you're still young. Try starting over." Whenever I heard things like that, I only gave a bitter smile. Start over? What kind of start could there be at my age? One day I even had this thought, am I actually living right now? Or am I just enduring it? I wore workout clothes and smiled brightly, but it was like wearing a mask. On the Pilates mat, I was more confident than anyone, but once I opened my front door, I collapsed again. When I ate alone, in the empty living room with the TV turned up loud, I would cry, without even knowing why. That day, on the subway, home after work, a woman who looked about my age was laughing while on the phone. Honey, I had a session at the gym today, and the trainer was just so funny. The moment I heard that, my heart felt strangely heavy. I envied the fact that she could share her day with someone while laughing. When I got home and sat in my dark room, a thought suddenly crossed my mind. Since when did I lose my smile? And then I realized it. The reason I've been holding on like this is that I still want to look like a decent woman to someone. That night, I lay in bed and turned on my phone. Without much thought, I typed words like new connections, Pilates members wanted, or gym PT registration into the search bar. Oh. For no reason at all. I just wanted to make a change. But I truly didn't know then that such a small curiosity would turn my entire life upside down. My husband, Park Jun-woo, is 58 years old this year. Early in our marriage, he was more diligent than anyone. He would go grocery shopping at dawn, open the restaurant, and work in the kitchen until late at night, dripping with sweat. Starting with just spicy stir-fried chicken, my husband's dream was to one day launch a franchise. I was so proud of my husband back then. But the world wasn't that easy. Labor costs rose, prices skyrocketed, and to make matters worse, the pandemic hit. Customers stopped coming one by one, and we couldn't last a few months before we had to close. That day, my husband cried as he took down the restaurant sign. I can still see him in my mind, his broad shoulders shaking as he sobbed in the middle of the street for everyone to see. After that, my husband began to avoid people. During the day, he would close the curtains and shut himself inside, and at night, he would buy 2 bottles of soju from a convenience store and drink them in silence. The TV was on, but I couldn't focus, and even when I spoke, the responses were sluggish. Then one day, my husband collapsed in the living room. His complexion was ashen, and he reeked of alcohol. I rushed him to the hospital, and the doctor said firmly, his liver enzymes are at a dangerous level. He must be hospitalized immediately. The diagnosis was alcoholic cirrhosis. He said the disease had already progressed quite far. From that day on, my daily life changed. I arrived at the center at 7 a.m., finished my classes, and headed to the hospital without a moment to catch my breath. After sitting by his hospital bed and feeding him some porridge, the sun had already set. Sometimes, while he was asleep, I would look at my phone. On social media, someone would post couple travel photos, and a friend would brag, "My husband brought me a bouquet on his way home." Seeing that, more than feeling envious, it felt like a world completely unrelated to mine. Even while hospitalized, my husband kept asking for alcohol. "Can't I just go home? It's suffocating here." The doctor was firm, but my husband stared at the hospital wall with empty eyes and spoke. "Sanyang, I don't want to live like this." That sounded so cruel to me. Yeah, I don't want to live like this either. But I wanted to scream that I was hurting too, not just him, and that I wanted comfort from someone. But I didn't say it, because I had always been that way. I had told myself that I had to endure silently, stay strong, hold my head high, and keep smiling. Then, one day, it happened. After caring for my husband at the hospital and returning home, the moment I closed the front door, I suddenly felt breathless. I looked in the mirror, and my face looked so unfamiliar. My skin was dull. There were dark circles under my eyes, and most of all, my eyes looked dead. When did I become like this? I exercise and take care of myself, so why is my life so desolate, and why am I so lonely? I cried that night until my pillow was soaked. Quietly, without a sound, so no one would notice until then. I really didn't know. That loneliness and those tears were the beginning of meeting him. It was a Friday afternoon. I had finished my morning Pilates classes and was eating a roll of kimbap alone at a nearby snack bar when I got a call after a long time. Young Minji, a younger friend 8 years my junior whom I've known for a long time. Hello. Ani, are you free tomorrow? Let's meet up after so long. Her voice was bright, but I felt like something was weighing her down. Is something wrong? Just I've been having a hard time lately. At those words, I didn't ask any further. Because whenever Minji said that, it meant something was really bad. On Saturday afternoon, we sat facing each other at a newly opened cafe in Dansandong. You've lost weight? I spoke first and Minji gave a forced smile. You still look pretty, Uni. You're still doing Pilates, right? The time spent catching up didn't last long. Minji seemed to be hesitating about something. Eventually, Minji played with her hair and spoke cautiously. Uni, I think I might get a divorce. Caught off guard by her sudden words, I set down my coffee cup. What? You've only been married a short while, so are you saying that? It's been 9 months. But I think I'm going crazy. That one sentence made me freeze. Furthermore, what she said next was beyond my imagination. My husband is too big. What is? Though I had already guessed, Minji blushed and covered her mouth. When we are intimate, it's ridiculously huge, so it hurts. Is that the reason? Uni, does this make sense? I even cried on our first night. The next day, it hurt so much I could barely get up. But my husband doesn't know and keeps wanting it. I'm scared and keep avoiding him. She gripped her coffee cup tightly, her eyes welling up. I even went to the doctor, but they just told me to get used to it. Oni, I feel like I'm gonna die. My husband isn't a bad person. But he's just too big, and I can't handle it. I had to comfort Minji, because that's what friends are for. But to be honest, a strange feeling suddenly rose up inside me then. Just how big could he be? Minji said she felt like dying, but those words were strangely stimulating to me. Life with a husband who no longer treated me as a woman and whose health issues had ended our intimacy long ago. Amidst that emptiness, her words burrowed into my mind so vividly. On my way home, I kept repeating Minji's words to myself. It's too big, I'm going crazy. I can't handle it. My heart raced and my mind was filled with curiosity about that man. What was her husband's name again? Kang Tae-oh. I'd seen him at their wedding. He was tall, had a great build, and was said to be successful in business. Just how big is that man? It started from then. Strangely, I began to be uncontrollably drawn to him. On the way home, Minji's words kept swirling in my head. Oni, it's so big, I think I'm going crazy. It was just a complaint, and it must have been a painful reality for Minji, but I kept dwelling on those words. At first, I tried to laugh it off. How big could he possibly be to make her consider divorce? I thought it must just be a bit of an exaggeration. But it wasn't. Because Minji's face was truly serious. Her eyes were sunken, and the end of her sentence trembled. A look mixed with shame and fear. That made it feel all the more real. And it started from then. A strange emotion began to grow inside me. How big could that man be? Was it mere curiosity? Or was it that my own dormant desires were finally sparked by that one sentence? When was the last time I was intimate with my husband? 3 years ago? No, it might have been over 4 years. Even back then it ended without any spark, and after that it vanished completely. Watching my husband wither away on his hospital bed, I felt my life as a woman was over. But Minji's words, the sheer size of that man, seemed to shake awake an instinct that had been asleep inside me. What would it feel like to have something so big it hurts? If I felt that, wouldn't the emptiness inside me be filled? Even for a moment? Even for a moment? Even I was surprised. That night I was searching for Minji's husband, Kang Tae-oh. Kang Tae-oh Restaurant, Daejeon Food, business owner Kang Tae-oh. I pieced together the faint clues and scoured social media. And eventually I found a single photo. He was in a black workout outfit, sleeveless, his arm muscles bulging, with a masculine intensity in his face behind sunglasses. It was a group photo, but Tae-oh was unmistakably larger and more striking than everyone else. In that moment, my heart sank to the floor. So this was the kind of man Minji's husband was. The face I'd only caught a glimpse of at her wedding now carried a whole new meaning. I knew it was truly insane. The very fact that I was searching for my friend's husband like this brought a wave of guilt. But strangely, a thrilling sensation washed over me before any regret or self-reproach could set in. The man in the photo was so cool, so huge, and above all, so very masculine. A kind of intense energy I had never once felt from my husband. It felt like it was coming through the screen. In a split second, without realizing it, I zoomed in on the screen to look at his hands. Thick fingers, distinct veins, firm wrists. Are those the hands that tormented Minji? I shouldn't have been imagining such things, but my mind wouldn't stop. No, this isn't right. I slammed my phone down. It's just because I'm tired. It was just a momentary lapse. I chided myself, turned off the light, and lay down. But even when I closed my eyes that night, the image of that man kept rising to the surface. And his size, all of it, filled my head. Lia, blut, thetu. Even when morning came, that feeling didn't subside. No, it actually grew even stronger, knowing it wasn't just curiosity but the beginning of a desire. Auden. I didn't want to admit it then, but it was already too late. I remembered the name Kang Tae-oh precisely because of something Minji let slip. Says my husband only works out every single day, lately. Why does he act like the gym is his whole life? Where is it? Does he go that often? He only goes to Prime Fitness in Tambangdong. He's been obsessed with it for years. The moment I heard that, I forced myself to nod indifferently, but my heart was already pounding. Prime Fitness. That name was stuck in my head when I got home, and that evening, I finally looked up the gym's website. The instructors in the photos, the interior facilities, the registration fees, the schedule. All that information meant nothing to me. Only one thing, the fact that he enters and leaves this space every day. That one thing was what drove me. What on earth am I doing right now? I asked myself that countless times as I opened the search bar, wrote an inquiry, and checked the location. But my hands wouldn't stop, and the next day I was turning away after finishing my 3-month registration. Welcome. It's less crowded in the morning. there are many office workers in the afternoon. The staff was kind, and my name, Kim San-young, was clearly written on the registration card. As I left the gym and put on my bag, I felt as if I had just entered a dangerous place. Minji's face flashed by, and I recalled the sound of the ventilator in my husband's hospital room. But a long-forgotten thrill was blooming inside me, strong enough to push all of that away. As if my hidden desire had finally found its direction. I went during the morning hours on purpose for the first day. What if I run into him? Tension wrapped around my entire body. While stretching or standing on the treadmill, my eyes kept scanning the weight area beyond the mirror. And then he walked in. A light blue tank top and black shorts. His hair was cut short and the line from his neck to his shoulders was perfect. The veins in his arms were vivid, and the barbell he lifted was breathtaking just to watch. I froze in place for a moment. I pretended to warm up or wipe my face with a towel, but I watched him through the mirror the whole time. Minji's words came to mind again. It's so big I think I'm going crazy. Those words were now approaching as a vivid imagination. Are you okay? Suddenly, someone spoke to me from the side, and I turned my head in shock. It was the gym manager. That stretching pose might be a bit strenuous. Is this your first time? Oh yes. It's my first time, so I'm a bit nervous. My voice trembled, and that man Tayo was still doing bench presses a few meters away. At that moment, he looked up and our eyes met. Just 1 second. But that brief gaze felt like it was piercing right through me. My heart was racing like crazy, and my palms were slick with cold sweat. It was my first day at Prime Fitness after signing up. I had told myself to just keep it light and stick to the treadmill, but the moment I opened the door and walked in, my heart stopped, dead in its tracks. Vekanani. A man was walking straight toward me from the entrance. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and above all, I could sense a raw, solid power within him. Even in a room full of people, he stood out vividly, and in that moment, I knew, instinctively, oh, it's him. He wore a black, short-sleeved t-shirt and gray sweatpants, with a towel tucked at his waist and beads of sweat on his neck. The veins running down his arms, the lines of his muscles alive and shifting with every movement. He wasn't some fitness model on TV, he was a vivid, real-life man. And then, he looked at me. Just 1 second. It was truly an instant, but his gaze was strangely warm. It wasn't sharp or rude, nor was it the indifferent look one gives a stranger passing by. That brief eye contact made my heart pound wildly. My breath hitched and cold sweat broke out on my palms. I instinctively looked away. I felt embarrassed for no reason. Yet my mind kept replaying his eyes, his shoulders, and the way he walked. Tayo. King Tayo. Minji's husband. The protagonist of that comment about being too big to handle. If I hadn't known his name, he would have just been a handsome guy, but now every time I look at him, I can't help but imagine that part of him, part of him. The silhouette brushing against his clothes as he moved, the angle of the dumbbell he lifted, the arch of his back. Everything was provocative. First time here? I was startled by a voice from behind and turned to see a gym trainer. Talking to me. Yes, I just signed up a little while ago. Oh, are you in the morning class? It's a bit crowded these days. Will you be okay with that? Yes, I'm just planning to do some light exercise. I answered, but my gaze was already fixed on him. Kang Tae-oh was loosening his shoulders by the cable machine, and it felt like he was glancing over at us through the mirror every now and then. No way, impossible. I lowered my head. But at the same time, I wondered, could he remember me? Me? Could he have a memory of us passing by at the wedding? I was even indulging in such absurd fantasies. I couldn't get any workout done. My heart just kept on pounding. And like fate, he began to walk toward me from over there. The distance closed in, and I instinctively slowed down my treadmill. As he passed by me, he stopped for a moment and spoke quietly. I haven't seen you here before. Did you sign up today? A voice that didn't sound unfamiliar. A tone that was both firm and gentle. His eyes were looking straight at me. In that moment, I heard something collapse inside me. All sense of reason, morality, and ethics began to waver. In an instant, "Is this your first time working out?" When he asked that, I thought my heart had stopped for a second. It was a short sentence. It could have just been a polite greeting. But his gaze was clear. Curiosity and goodwill toward a stranger. And a very subtle, mysterious interest. "Can you tell just by looking at me?" I replied with a smile before I knew it. I wonder if my voice was shaking. My heart was pounding wildly. It's okay. I used to have weak knees and tumble off the bench when I first started too. As he said that with a smile, I found myself smiling too. It was a first. It had been such a long time since my heart fluttered just from making eye contact and sharing a casual conversation with someone. "You're not taking PT sessions yet, are you?" "No, I'm just going to do it on my own." "Then, would you mind if I helped you?" I couldn't say anything for a few seconds at that. Minji's husband, the person standing beyond the line I should never cross. But he was reaching his hand out to me so naturally. "If that's all right with you." In the end, I began to erase the line myself. Since that day, we became workout partners. He taught me how to use the machines, corrected my form, and would even slowly lift my arms during stretches. His touch wasn't rough, but it was never light either. One day, I lost my balance while doing lunges, and he supported my waist. I felt his firm arm behind my back and his breath nearby, and for a moment, I froze stiff. "Are you okay?" When he asked while placing a hand on my shoulder, I nodded and said, "Yes, I'm fine. I just got a little dizzy." But I wasn't fine. Since that day, whenever his touch grazed me, something inside me kept shaking. Under the pretext of working out, we grew closer and closer and closer. After exercising, we drank shakes together at the gym cafe, and he would always arrive about 5 minutes earlier than me to warm up his treadmill. Just seeing that from afar made my day start with excitement. "Seon Young, why did you start working out?" He asked cautiously one day. I couldn't answer his question. To be exact, I couldn't tell him the truth. "It's because of you." I wanted to know what kind of person you are. The man Minji said is so big it makes her go crazy. Your gaze, your hands, I wanted to be closer to you. The words rose to my throat, but I couldn't bring myself to say them. I just wanted to take better care of myself. That's what I said. It wasn't a lie. It was just only half the truth. He nodded and smiled. You did well. If there's one thing you must do in life, it's taking care of yourself and take care of yourself. For some reason, my heart ached at those words. One day, he offered to teach me back exercises. He approached cautiously from behind as I sat at the machine and spoke. Keep your back straight and push your chest forward slightly. At those words, my breath suddenly hitched. It was just a casual posture correction, but just having him behind me made every nerve in my body come alive. When he placed his hand over mine to adjust the angle of the cable handle, the sensation felt far more vivid than I expected and warmer than cold metal and firmer than hard rubber. The feeling of the back of his hand made me realize something in that moment. Miru. That this feeling was not just simple excitement, say. He was just someone who came to work out every day, and I was just a student learning, but the air between us felt strangely soft and hot. You left your towel here. After my workout, when he brought over my sweat-soaked towel, I laughed and pretended to be surprised. Oh, I was so distracted. I've been so forgetful lately. It's okay. It happens sometimes when you work out. Was it too hard for you? No, it's because you're a great teacher. His smile was the kind that could melt a person's heart, without him even needing to be funny. You know how some people can make others feel warm, just with a calm expression without even laughing? That was Teo. After our workouts, sitting side by side at the gym cafe, drinking protein shakes had somehow become our routine. He would always arrive before me to grab a seat and would have my shake, waiting on a coaster with a straw already in it. It's strawberry flavor today. It should be a bit better than yesterday. Those small acts of consideration slowly melted my heart. It was the first time someone had looked after me with such care. Even before he got sick, my husband rarely looked me in the eye when he spoke and would only stare at his phone while eating. Occasionally in the hospital room he'd say, "You've worked hard." I had to be grateful just for hearing that single word. But Teo would hold my waist to show me my posture, offer me water in the middle of a workout, and even jokingly ask after a session if I needed him to buy me a knee brace if my knees were hurting. His kindness and consideration were shaking me far more than his arms, his shoulders, or the solid muscles revealed beneath his sweat-drenched t-shirt and re-shirt. A sudden thought crossed my mind. How does this man treat women? If he is this attentive, both physically and emotionally, then at that moment Minji's confession flashed through my head. It's so huge, I think I'm going crazy. Recalling those words, I found myself looking at his arms. Arms that were truly thick and firm, as if they could swallow something up in an instant. What would it feel like to be held in them? Just imagining it made me keenly realize how hungry I had been, and how parched my body and mind had become. And lying in bed that night, rereading the short exchanges we'd had on my phone, I honestly admitted the truth to myself. For the first time. After finishing our workout that day, I expected us to have our protein shakes as usual and part ways. But then, Teo cautiously brought it up. If you have time today, would you like to have dinner with me? My heart skipped a beat. It was unexpected, but not exactly surprising. Maybe I had been waiting for these for a long time. We went to a quiet pasta place near the gym. Under the dim lighting, he was a completely different person from when he was working out. Note. His shy smile, the tremor in his fingertips, and the way he carefully looked into my eyes. Actually, I spent the whole day worrying about this. Should I say this? I was worried that I might be a burden to you. No, I'm actually grateful too. A brief silence followed those words, and I picked up my water glass and set it back down for no reason. My hands felt awkward, so I just aimlessly traced the surface of the table. Then, he asked in a very low, cautious voice, "How have you been lately? You said you were living alone." I chuckled at his question and replied, "I'm just getting by. That's just how life is, isn't it? No expectations, no grand desires, just feeling like I'm barely holding on, breathing, day by day." At that moment, his gaze changed, as if he understood my feelings. Without me having to say them, he lowered his head for a moment before meeting my eyes again, and saying quietly, "I'm the same. Actually, it's been quite a while since I started living alone. My wife and I have been sleeping in separate rooms for a long time, and we hardly talk anymore." At those words, I was momentarily lost for words. How could we be so similar? I thought we had walked such different paths, but in the end, we were both sitting here, leaning on the same loneliness, Nemus. His hand moved slowly across the table toward me, and without realizing it, our fingertips touched. That brief contact sent a shiver through my entire body. "It's okay," he said. "You won't regret this moment. Then he leaned in cautiously toward my face, and I stared at him, unable to say a word. In that moment, all my thoughts, guilt, and hesitation vanished. Only the warmth I had longed for so long wrapped around my heart. The moment his lips touched mine, the world went quiet. The kiss wasn't intense, but it was a kiss filled with more sincerity than anything else. A kiss that seemed to say everything about how lonely we were, and how long we had waited for this moment. I didn't want anything else. I just wanted to be loved as a person, as a woman. The emotions I had suppressed, like a long-standing thirst, collapsed in an instant with that one kiss. And on the way back that night, as the gym lights faded into the distance, a strange trembling continued in my heart. It was the next morning. As soon as I picked up my phone, dozens of notifications poured in. At first, I thought they were just simple promotional texts. But as one message, then two, arrived from acquaintances, a single word began to repeat. "I saw the video of you and that man at the gym. I saw the photo posted on social media. Are you okay? Is it true by any chance? We're just acquaintances?" My mind went blank. Not knowing what they were talking about, I clutched my chest and clicked the link. And the moment I saw the screen, what unfolded before my eyes was that brief kiss we shared in the corner of the cafe. In the shaky footage, we were leaning cautiously against each other, and my expression was that of a woman clearly smitten, a mix of shyness and excitement. The video was already being shared by dozens of accounts, and the comments were filled with all sorts of malicious words. "Act your age, please." "An affair kiss at the gym cafe. What a nuisance, and isn't that guy married? Are you out of your mind? Why are middle-aged women so desperate?" I squeezed my eyes shut, but every single word pierced my chest like an awl. I called Teo, but it just rang, without him picking up. I sent urgent messages, but there was no reply, and his profile picture vanished that evening. Within a day, the rumor spread throughout the gym. The whispering heard in the locker room. The cameras secretly filming me on the treadmill. The subtle glances exchanged among the trainers. I know it all. Even if they don't say it out loud. I know how they see me. A woman who seduces married men. How dare she do such things with another man at the gym while she's supposed to be caring for her sick husband, huh? Among them were even the accounts of local acquaintances I had once trusted. They didn't leave comments, but the traces of them liking the video made my heart collapse. The feelings I hadn't told anyone about, the warmth I felt for the first time after long loneliness, all of that was being trampled on and mocked by a single, secretly recorded video. And the cruelest part was Teo's silence. Since that day, he didn't come to the gym, and even when at the times he used to be there, only empty equipment greeted me, Deru. Perhaps it wasn't the video that ruined us, but a moment where reality, society, and judgmental eyes proved that our relationship could never be real. Was it love? Or was it just a moment of comfort? After that day, I suddenly found myself asking in the mirror, what exactly did I want? Was it true that he liked me? Left with only unanswered questions, my steps each day became heavy and cautious again. My phone rang. The moment I saw the caller's name, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Minji's fingertips were trembling. But I couldn't run away. She already knew everything. Ani, is that really you in the video? Her voice was filled with a mix of disbelief, anger, and sorrow. I tried to open my mouth, but no words came out. I was suffocating, and tears fell first. Minji, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. You didn't mean for it to happen? You heard everything I told you about my husband. You heard how hard things were, for me, how lonely I was. But with that husband, she burst into tears. The sobbing sound coming through the phone felt like it was tearing my ears apart. Minji, please just listen to me. I couldn't control myself either. I couldn't even tell if it was love or just loneliness. Ani, love? You stole my husband and you call it love? Where in the world is there such a dirty kind of love? Her voice trembled more, and in the end it turned to pure rage. Ani, it's over between you and me. I will never speak your name again as long as I live. Click. With the sound of the call ending, the world went quiet as if it had stopped. That night I sat on my bed and cried for a long time. Until my tears dried, until I had no more tears to shed, everything had collapsed. Tao had disappeared, Minji had turned away, and the gym was no longer a place for me. And a few days later, the final shock arrived. Guardian, the patient's condition has rapidly deteriorated. You need to come quickly. It was a call from the hospital. The phone in my hand was shaking violently. My mind went blank, and my legs gave way, almost making me fall down the stairs. When I reached the hospital room, my husband was relying on an oxygen mask, breathing with great difficulty. He opened his eyes and gave a faint smile. Seonyang. At those words, tears poured out. Honey, I'm here. You'll be okay now. He slowly shook his head and said, I'm sorry for not being a good husband. His voice cracked, his fingertips trembled, and then only the sound of his oxygen mask remained. Honey, please. My crying filled the hospital room, but he didn't answer anymore. The doctor bowed his head silently, and in that moment, time stopped. I never even got to properly say sorry to him. Because while he was lying in the hospital, I was in another man's arms. The guilt was buried so deep inside me that it was hard to even breathe. Throughout the funeral, I couldn't cry or smile. Minji didn't come, and Teo wasn't there to be seen. The gazes of the mourners flew like thorns, piercing my chest. They say the mistress is holding her husband's funeral. I heard those words, but I couldn't say anything. Only his last words kept coming back to me. Live happily. Live your life the way you want, at least now. Those words felt even more cruel. I had nothing left in the world. Love, friends, family. It felt like even I, myself, had vanished. The day the funeral ended, I returned home and took off my shoes, and suddenly my reflection in the mirror felt strange. A haggard face, swollen eyes, empty gaze. It was like a soulless doll. That night, the doorbell rang. My heart sank. Who could it be at this hour? Maybe the people from the gym again? Camera reporters? Or Minji? When I opened the door, he was standing there. Tayo. He stood there without a word, dressed in a suit. He looked into my eyes for a moment before slowly opening his mouth. I'm truly sorry for coming at a time like this. His voice was soft as always, but it held a hint of desperation. I just couldn't stay still. I heard the news of your husband's funeral. I found out about everything with your friend, and yet, even still. He unclenched his fist and slowly reached out his hand to me. I love you. That one word echoed in my ears is love. Love of all things. Does he really think that word fits this situation and this timing? You love me? Yes. You still love me even though I desired you, my friend's husband, and was in your arms while my own husband was dying? He nodded his head. I have to live with my sins for the rest of my life. We can carry them together. I will lighten that burden for you. Tears burst forth. No one had ever said anything like that to me. My existence was buried in blame, shame, and guilt, but he reached into that mud and pulled me up by the hand. I know it's selfish, but I don't think I can go on without you. His eyes held the same gentleness I saw the very first time. Just like that look he gave me on that first day. At that moment I found myself holding his hand. I'm selfish too. Then let's just both be selfish. And so no matter what the world said or what stains were on our past, we held onto each other's hands. Love is not a crime, but love must always be followed by responsibility. Since that day, I decided I would no longer run away. Accepting the blame, the stares, and my past, I began my final love with him. Sometimes, in life, love comes late. And that love might tear everything we have apart. But sometimes, it is within that collapse that we find our true selves. Sometimes, in life, love comes late. And that love might tear everything we have apart. But sometimes, it is within that collapse that we find our true selves. And if this story touched even a small corner of your heart, please Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Anion 때리란 야스토다이. Your empathy and support help me keep standing, preventing me from falling, and sustain yet another story. In the comments below, would you tell me what you think the responsibility of love is? We only hope that it isn't too late.